Good evening, everybody. I'd like to warmly welcome you to our recognition of service ceremony for AmeriCorps NCCC. Today, we come together to really honor the incredible dedication, resilience, and spirit of service that each of you has brought to communities across the country. We're going to continue to let the slideshow play for a little bit, but while we wait to begin formally, I encourage you to use the chat. Tell us where you're coming from, what class you're in, and why you're here tonight. We're really excited that you're here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our recognition of service ceremony for AmeriCorps NCCC. Today, we've really come together to honor all of you and your incredible dedication, resilience, and spirit of service that each of you has brought to communities across the country. Thank you so much for showing up tonight, not just with your time and energy, but with all of your hearts. Your commitment to service has really made such a lasting impact, and it reflects the very, very best of what it means to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. My name is Jay Lisak, and I'm truly honored to be your MC tonight. I served as a team leader with AmeriCorps NCCC Class 29B from the Southern region. When I applied to AmeriCorps, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just searching for something kind of in a strange place between jobs. I'm sure the story goes for many of you, but NCCC changed everything for me. I served across the country and grew in ways that I never would have expected. I really found something that truly, truly mattered to me. And because of NCCC, I now live in Maryland and work full-time for a sponsor. The friends I made at NCCC really became my family. And when we heard of the news of the demobilization, it really, really touched us. I've never seen people jump on a Zoom call so quickly trying to process things together, but I think that goes to show that NCCC is not just a program, it's part of who we are. It taught us how to serve and how to love harder, lead better, and show up when it really matters most. So thank you for being here, for serving, for believing in this work, for believing in each other. And it's an honor to stand beside you and celebrate everything NCCC has built in us and around the country. Before we get started, I'd like to just make a quick disclaimer. As a reminder, this event is not hosted, sponsored, or funded by AmeriCorps in any way, shape, or form. Everyone here is acting in their own personal capacity as a member of the Stand with Service community. So before we get rolling, we're going to get a few housekeeping items out of the way. We encourage you to really keep your cameras on. This is a big celebration of community, and we want to invite you to be fully present with one another. And we want you to actively use the chat, show us reactions. We love a good applause. Show support for our speakers, connect with one another. Please send out your hearts, find your friends, share your connection to NCCC where you're from. We're also going to do a really quick roll call so we can see who's represented in the room for the most recent alumni. So I'm going to shout out some 6 classes. If you're a part of that class, please react, send greetings in the chat, show your enthusiasm. We'd love to hear from you. So if you are my lovely people from the Southern region, Class 30B traditional course, show some enthusiasm. We'd love to see you. Wonderful. Southern region, Class 30C FEMA Corps. If you served with the Southwest region, Class 31A Traditional Corps, let's hear from you. The Pacific region, Class 31A Traditional Corps. Excellent. I'm seeing lots of people in the chat. If you served out of the North Central region, Class 31A Traditional Corps. And lastly, we're going to bring it full circle with my alma mater campus, the Southern region, Class 31A FEMA Corps. Bring it home for us. Excellent. Thank you so much. That was really a powerful representation of just some of the classes that we have in this room, but I know that there are alumni from all 31 years of AmeriCorps. So we're going to get started with one of our first speakers, and it's my distinct honor to welcome retired General Donald L. Scott. General Scott was the first national director of AmeriCorps NCCC. Born in Missouri, he was retired from the Army as a brigadier general before being selected as the chief of staff for the very first Black mayor of Atlanta. Shortly after ending his service in Atlanta, President Bill Clinton appointed him to lead the launch of AmeriCorps NCCC. He then went on to serve at the Library of Congress for 10 years. He joins us tonight not only as a great leader in our nation's history, but also as a person who knows the American story of service from truly every angle. He knows our particular legacy from the very beginning. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to General Scott to share his reflection. Thank you, General Scott.
Well, thank you very much. And it is indeed a pleasure to be here. And I first want to say to all of the NCCC members, how much and how proud that I am that God gave me the chance to marry up and lead others to create this most wonderful program that you have succinctly in your testimonials said it all. that experience, this experience has changed you and your life experiences. And guess what? It changed me. And that's what I want to talk about in the 5 or 6 minutes that Arlo and this wonderful team has given me. I want to talk about tell you two stories about my association with the NCCC, how I got involved, and how it changed my outlook on who I am, what I could do, and the power of together to get things done. So, with that being the case, I want to say to everybody who's out there, the families, the friends, the AmeriCorps alumni, National Service Networks, I love you because we're all in this together. And now let me tell you the first story. I had just resigned as the Chief Operating Officer for the city of Atlanta, Georgia. And I was working to start by my own initiative. I wanted to start what they was then calling a boot camp to help young men learn some discipline and be able to work together to get things done. And I was trying to raise money, trying to find people that would help out. And I get this phone call from a friend of mine who's was a general and he was still on active duty. And he knew what I was trying to do. And so as soon as he called, he says, hey, I just used your name and I wanted to let you know in case you get this phone call that I recommended you for a job. And he went on to tell me about AmeriCorps. First time I'd ever heard anything about AmeriCorps. Now, this was in 1993. And he says, I was on his plane and I'm flying back home. This guy sits next to me. He says that he is with a search firm, and the Clinton White House had hired his firm to find a general who could start a program that would do sort of work like the old Civilian Conservation Corps used to do. And it would employ youngsters from 16 through 24, and high school graduates, college graduates, dropouts, and they would work together and do community kind of projects all across America. And he says, we can't find anybody that is suitable that we think could get this job done. And then he says to this person, I know just the guy. And so I get this call from this search firm guy, and the rest of it is history. But here's what I wanted to tell you about this. When you are looking for something to do that would be satisfying and everything, and you've had some obstacles in your life, do not underestimate the power of people who know you, who love you, who are concerned about you to help you out. Now, I'm really speaking right now to the AmeriCorps NCCC class that was just demobilized by what I call the destroyers of government efficiency. And you're at the place right now where you need to get on with your life. And I just read this AmeriCorps guide that was put out by Stand with Service. And it is an excellent resource because that group is made up of individuals who have worked in every area of national service. And there's somebody who could pick up the phone and call somebody to get you like I was gotten into this AmeriCorps, which has changed my life. Now, let me tell you the second story, or the second part of this story, as to how it changed my life. Because Eli Segal, who had been appointed by President Clinton to start AmeriCorps and the Corporation for National Service, Eli had hired me in October of 1993. I reported to Washington, D.C. We were having this chat. Eli had asked me if I had read the enabling information about the creation of the national or the civilian community corps. And I said, yeah, but I need to read it a little bit closer because I think it said something like the money expired in 1 year. And man, there's so much that we got to do. I mean, I'm the only employee, don't have any staff, whatever. And Eli said, yeah, well, yeah, we referred that, we indicated that was the case, but don't worry, we're going to help you all we can. So he gave me 4 volunteers. Kate Becker, who many of you know, was one of those volunteers. And with those 4 volunteers in an office, we started working together and we put together a team of about 50 workers to get this program started. And this was in 1993. And these folk came from the military, they came from the Peace Corps, they came from the Conservation Corps, and many other places. And so, in less than 1 year, here's what happened. We opened the first campus July 1994 with 275 Corps members in Maryland, Aberdeen, Maryland. The second campus opened in August with 240 members in Charleston, South Carolina. The third campus opened in September, early September, in San Diego, California, with 270 members. And the last campus opened in Denver, Colorado, with 240 members. Now, here's what I take from this. Any obstacle that people put in your path can be obliterated, overcome for good if people work together. Those 50 people that we hired to create and do the impossible, not only did the impossible, but they made it so that thousands of individuals could receive good, and those who gave the good also received good. So the testimony that I'm hearing says that we did something right. You are still doing things right, and no amount of meddling, interfering, attempting to turn the clock back will happen when we work together. That is my message, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to support it as long as God gives me the strength. You've got an ally, an advocate, and I know that I too have one. And America is the better because the one thing that really got me interested in leading the effort to start the NCCC was it stated that it wanted to have Corps members who looked like America, and it wanted us to do good to help those who couldn't help themselves. And that to me is what I have been trying to accomplish and want to see America keep accomplishing now and in the future. Thank y'all very much. I love you, and I'll be here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, General Scott, for being here, for sharing your reflections on the legacy. It's really an honor to hear your perspective and how the service movement really fits into our nation's story and the current moment. It really means a lot to us. I'd like to take a moment to recognize some other previous NCCC directors that we have tonight. If you are here with us, please wave your hand on camera. We would love to thank you for your service. Excellent. Thank you so much. And while we're doing some of these shout outs and recognizing people, I know that there are NCCC alums here from all 31 years with us this evening, representing the deep legacy of NCCC. So if you can put your class, your current location in the chat, I invite you to really share a greeting with us. I'm seeing class 9, red 5, Charleston, 31A, class 6, Capital Region. Wonderful. Thank you so much all for being here. I would like to take a moment to welcome our next guest, who is a familiar face to so many of us. Gina Cross began her career serving with the AmeriCorps NCCC program in Class 2 in San Diego, followed by a year as AmeriCorps Vista member in Kentucky. Gina went on to serve as the Deputy Director and Acting Director for NCCC, and later the Chief Operating Officer at AmeriCorps. With that, Gina, please take it away.
Thanks so much, Jay. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to join you in celebrating the incredible service of AmeriCorps NCCC this graduating class. Congratulations to each of you for your commitment, your resilience, and your deep sense of purpose. I'm grateful for the work of General Scott and all those that paved the way for people like me to follow behind in the spirit of service and to carry that legacy forward. I'm grateful. I'm pleased to welcome the friends and family of our graduates, NCCC project sponsors, AmeriCorps staff, state service commissions, and AmeriCorps alums from across all of the AmeriCorps programs, state, national, Vista, seniors, and NCCC. So, NCCC graduates, today is the moment to reflect not just on what you've completed, but on what you've contributed to communities across this country, to one another, and to this great nation. You answered the call at a time when our country needed you the most. Whether it was responding to natural disasters, supporting public health efforts, restoring parks and public spaces, or helping children and families recover and rebuild, you stood up and stepped in to serve. I want to take some time to name just a few of the contributions from these NCCC members in this past class. Last year alone, NCCC members treated over 46,000 acres to prevent wildfires. They assisted over 388,000 people in disaster areas. They painted and renovated over 227,000 school classrooms and hallways. And this year, you all helped submit, drumroll please, over 24,000 tax returns, returning nearly 26 million to Americans that needed it. That alone represents almost 70% of the program's annual appropriations, and it's an increase to last year's achievement. My good friend Ken Goodson has championed this economic recovery work since he started as the campus director in Denver, and so grateful for what that brings to communities. Let's get some shout outs and some hearts for the impact of this class that is finishing their service. Well, that demonstrates the power of service and the power of this program. So let me be clear, your contribution matters. I know this firsthand. I stood where you stand, an NCCC alum of Class 2 whose life was forever changed by this experience. I didn't know then how much this journey would shape my path. NCCC taught me to lead through uncertainty, how to build trust in a team, and how to stay focused on impact. And certainly, my most important lesson that I learned as a Corps member right off the bat was that leadership is much more than just being bossy. My service in NCCC and Vista set me on a path to a career in public service, but more than that, it gave me a sense of purpose that still drives me today. You took the AmeriCorps pledge to get things done for America and to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier, and bring Americans together. You lived those words, and the communities you served are stronger because of you. I'll leave you with my favorite quote from Socrates. Some of you have heard this before. The secret to change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And now you carry something powerful with you. Not just the experience, but the ethic of showing up, of serving others, of getting things done. And as you go forward, know that you have already made a significant difference, and you will continue to do so. So I thank you for everything that you've done, for everything that you're going to do, and I congratulate you again, and I welcome you to my mighty, mighty tribe of AmeriCorps alums. Keep serving, keep leading, and above all, keep getting things done. Thank you. Jay?
Thank you so much, Gina. This is truly a testament. There's a Mr. Rogers quote that I always think about. Some of the numbers that you shared, if you look for the helpers, you will find them. And those numbers are just a demonstration of that. So thank you so much for sharing how service and AmeriCorps in particular has not only really impacted the nation, but also played a role as a key partner over the years. So thank you so much. Next tonight with us, we have a former leader of one of those partners, Deanne Criswell, former administrator of FEMA, which partners with AmeriCorps NCCC to bring FEMA Corps to life. Deanne has a long professional history in emergency management and is a lifelong public servant and veteran of the U.S. Air Force. Deanne, thank you.
Jay, thank you. Can I do just a quick sound check and make sure you can hear me okay?
We're good. Thank you. Take it away.
All right. Awesome. Well, this is such an honor to be invited to be able to join all of you tonight to have this recognition of such amazing service that you've been able to provide. And, Gina was there when I started the FEMA Corps program, and listening to her words and the numbers and the stats that she just talked about just really reminds me of the impact that AmeriCorps and FEMA Corps can have. And while I spent the last 4 years serving as the FEMA administrator, and there's so much during that time that I'm proud of, I think the thing that I have been the most proud of within my entire public service career was the time I spent standing up the FEMA Corps program. It was such a remarkable opportunity to be able to engage with so many future leaders and see their drive, see their enthusiasm, and see everything that they're able to contribute, breaking down barriers, being able to actually change the way the federal government works. And while this recent demobilization is certainly going to bring a void, it's going to bring a void to all of you, to your team members, and to the things that you wanted to accomplish. It's going to bring a void to the communities that you are going to be able to serve. And it's going to be a void in the programs that you were able to administer across FEMA. But you were also able to do so much, and that doesn't have to stop. I think about when I first started the FEMA Corps program, and I went to every regional administrator, and every one of the leaders across the FEMA enterprise to tell them what this program was about. And I remember everybody asking, well, I don't really know, how I'm going to incorporate them into the work that we're doing. I'm not quite sure if this is the right fit for us. What are we going to be able to do? And how are we going to, give them the experience that they want? And when I came back as the FEMA administrator, all I heard was, we can't live without our FEMA Corps teams. I need another FEMA Corps team. And that just goes to show the impact that all of you have on leaders across not just FEMA, but across this nation. And I think one of my favorite stories has always been in the very early days of Superstorm Sandy. FEMA Corps was just stood up. I was just named as the director of the program, and I hadn't even moved to the DC area yet. But FEMA Corps teams were out in the field in New York and in New Jersey, working side by side with our reservists. And at the time, they were trained in community relations, and they were trained in individual assistance. Teams were cross-trained in these two functions. And I remember seeing the teams and hearing the stories about how they would walk the streets of New York City as the community relations mission, and handing out flyers and asking them, have you registered for assistance yet? And here's a flyer. But then one of the groups said, well, hey, I've got a laptop and you taught me how to register people for assistance. I'm just going to register you right here. And so, in my words, they were setting up these like lemonade stands on the corners of New York City and starting to register people in the streets. And the reservists, the longstanding FEMA employees said, well, we don't do that, right? That's not how we do business. And the FEMA Corps member said, well, why not? This is what you trained me to do. This is innovation. This is leadership in action. And that action turned into what we know today as the Disaster Survivor Assistance Program. That program did not exist and would not exist if it wasn't for FEMA Corps. And it goes to show how the initiative and the passion that you have for trying to help people can actually change the way an entire federal agency operates. And it's always reminded me that we need to continue to try to put people first and advance and continue to change the way we do things and not get stuck in the same old thing because that's the way we've always done it. And FEMA Corps really opened my eyes to that. And it's one of the reasons that it's one of the most significant accomplishments that I claim in my career with FEMA. And it was before I was the FEMA administrator. And so as you embark on the next part of your leadership journey and the next part of your service journey, just know that your service doesn't end with the demobilization that you just experienced. You have experience and you have leadership and you understand what it means to serve. You need to take that knowledge and continue to be able to give that to others. You need to stay engaged. You need to stay connected with each other. And there's great tools to do that. And you need to help lead locally in your own communities. Take everything that you learned and all of that passion and find a way to continue to give back because America still needs you. America needs you probably now more than they ever have. And so my ask to you is that we continue to keep serving and that we keep serving together. And I'll just close with this. After I left FEMA, I decided to take a little journey of my own, and I walked the Camino de Santiago in Spain. So 37 days and 500 miles, and I had a lot of time to think and disconnect and be unstructured in a way that I've never been able to before. But along the way, there were all these little signs of inspiration. And I was looking through some of the little notes that I would see and things that were painted on murals or things that were in restaurants along the way. And the one that really stood out to me and made me think about this time that we find ourselves in right now was this: in the midst of difficulties, there is always an island of opportunity. Find this as your opportunity to continue to serve and to continue to give back. I thank you all so much for the service that you've already given, but I thank you even more for the service that you will continue to do. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Deanne. What a true testament to innovation and just what happens when we trust the young leaders of our country. Thank you for sharing how AmeriCorps NCCC FEMA Corps has worked over the years to meet urgent community needs in the wake of natural disaster and how much it has truly touched you and so many others. I'd like to take a moment to welcome Dorothy Maples, the Director of Emergency Disaster Services for the Salvation Army Northern Division. Dorothy found her calling volunteering alongside AmeriCorps St. Louis Emergency Response Team and has been doing this work since 2011. She's a two-time AmeriCorps alum, and today her organization hosts NCCC members. Dorothy, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Let me just say how much of an honor it is to be here with you, and thank you for your service. It does not go unnoticed, and I know from my experience, it's greatly appreciated. Yes, of course, St. Louis Pride, Samuel, as always, loved my ERT team. So, as stated, Dorothy Maples, Director of Emergency Disaster Services for the Salvation Army. More importantly, here to talk to you about where my passion started, and the passion that I've seen in the many teams that I've sponsored over the year. 2011, my hometown of Joplin, Missouri, was hit by an F5 tornado. I was in the airport with my wife. We had just got back from New Orleans, and I watched that destruction on the TV. I was actually on the phone with my dad when the service went down. I couldn't get in touch with my family for days. When I got back to Seattle, I knew that I needed to do something. I went to Joplin, got in, and I initially went there for a couple of weeks helping my family and friends, bringing in stuff, materials, clothing, stuff of that nature, because I had no idea about disaster response at that time, and that, materials are the next wave of the disaster. Don't bring donated goods. We don't need them, right? So when I went back, I was just so impassioned by all the volunteers and all the groups. I had no concept of AmeriCorps at that time. When I left there after a couple of weeks, I went back to what I call my big person job. And I sat there and contemplated how I could continue to give back. I went to my boss and said, I need to take 30 days off. I went back and found AmeriCorps St. Louis and showed up every day for 30 days, volunteered alongside those young individuals. I say young because I was in my 30s when I joined AmeriCorps, so I was not your typical AmeriCorps person starting out. When I went back, I still felt that service, that drive for passion. I got a call from Quinn Gardner, shout out, that said, hey, Dorothy, I know you're married. I know you have a full-time job. Do you want to quit and not make any money and come back and help us lead this program for a year? And I said, yes, Quinn, I do. And so I quit. Of course, I asked my wife first because I would have been in a lot of trouble. But I quit and went back to my hometown for a year and continued to serve. Like I said, that passion just kept growing. I did 2 years with AmeriCorps St. Louis, and in my 2 years in Superstorm Sandy out on Long Island, where I took over the construction coordinator position after my term of service was done. I then went on for 7 years being the director of operations for Nechama Jewish Response to Disaster, which is where I really truly grew my passion for NCCC. Shout out to all of my teams over the years. I would say between Dan Haft from International Orthodox Christian Charities, I'm sure some of you know who he is. He is my best friend. We traveled together for so many years. We partnered together, and I would say close to 100 teams we sponsored. I'm so old that I used to text some of the people from the DSU unit and just ask for teams, and I would have one almost en route before I'd get there. So those concept applications, if we start back up, I'm going to ask, can I start texting again? Because that's just too much. Anyway, I digress. After all those years, I honestly was so impassioned. These small organizations that I worked for, small but mighty, we could have never done the work without NCCC and those teams that would come along and give up their time and talents to serve communities that were forgotten. Those people that sometimes, teams have to move on to different places. I stayed 2 years the last time in Ida and continued to have team after team for 2 years with AmeriCorps, supporting a community that had felt like they were forgotten. And that is all because of the hard work of NCCC. You are very driven people, and this does not end here. I love all of you, and thank you for your service. And what I would say is where it changed my life is I get to continue to be in roles that does disaster response. I sadly was in the middle of doing a concept form to get a team here with my Salvation Army. I still am going to be looking for all of you. Your time is not done. What I used to say to my volunteers or NCCC team when we were getting close to our end time together, you may not want to continue to ever muck and gut. You may not want to do chainsaw work. You may not want to play in mold anymore. But what I hope you take away from your time with me and the rest of the folks is a heart for passion. Find what you're passionate about. Go out there and find a way to continue to serve your community, because like-minded people that have spoke before me, our world needs you. We need you more than ever. And take that with you and know how much you are loved and how much you are supported and how much I thank you personally.
Dorothy, thank you so much for sharing your story and your legacy and the interconnectedness of that with NCCC. I think you really show us what it means to be a change maker. So thank you so much. I'd now like to turn it over to TA Bass from Red 4 and Ava Van Pelt from Red 1. TA is from Alabama and Ava resides in Albuquerque. They have put together a visual poem that reflects beautifully upon our current moment. I'm going to send it over to them so that they can share a little bit about their work before we get a visual of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm from Alabama, and my reason for joining NCCC was to see more of our beautiful country and provide much needed service to communities like the one that I call home. The poem that you guys are about to hear was written during Class 31A's training week for round 2 back in January at the campus in Sacramento, California. It was inspired by both Ava and my travels with our respective teams along the West Coast during round 1, and by the deep feeling that we carry toward the work we've been doing as Corps members. When we wrote this, it came from a place of love for round 1, for our teammates, for the communities we had in honor of serving, and a shared passion, for poetry. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy, and it's really good. I really like it a lot. So I'll pass it over to Ava now.
Yeah, I think I'll just add that we wanted to show this tonight because we thought it would be particularly powerful given the circumstances. Even though we did write it originally, like Tay said, kind of from a place of like excitement, appreciation, and like gratitude. We also wrote it from a place of love, and I think that that's what we want to bring back here tonight from our days in service is that love, because they can take our funding, they can demobilize us, but they can never take our love and our ability to help others and just continue on. So that's just a fact. So I hope you guys enjoy. From the east I came, to the west I stay.
And I flew on southern winds to palms of the Pacific.
Adventure, new life, strangers become best friends, become family overnight.
Landed in new love and spaces, now old dreams become real.
Travel to ocean, travel to forest.
Sleep under mountains, bathe in the rain.
Places I'd never seen, that I'll never see again.
Moments I'd never feel had I waited or stayed.
Rode miles on the open road, got gas, cities pass, ain't never going home.
There is no ocean at my home, no wandering roads, nor flockless sky.
This temporary group of 8 arrived to another destination, opportunity awaits.
And what waits for my 8 friends is farther for us 10, so we run.
The places we go are the places I'll get lost in.
Places I might dare to stay.
Lost in the spots between the branches of the trees.
Found at the threshold of my old cozy cabin.
Lost in the air I've yet to breathe.
Found at the water of forest floors.
Lost in the places I've yet to see.
Found at the moments I've been.
And I'll never see again.
And might never feel again.
Left my home for adventure. Left my home for me.
Thank you so much, TA and Ava. It's a little emotional. I really appreciated you sharing that. What a beautiful piece. I think we've all had to process a lot in very little time, and this is such an artful reflection, and the impact you felt is, I'm sure, resonates with so many people here. I'd like to have everyone take a moment to think about some of the most impactful moments of their service term, because I know that those are the things that are going to stay with them forever. So thank you so much. All night, we've really heard different expressions of what we've achieved together and how important this work is to all of us and to the country, and how challenging it has been to see it end so suddenly. So we have some folks who, in the face of challenge, were inspired to take action the true NCCC way. You may have seen that members of Blue 2 and Blue 8 have secured funding to complete their previously assigned projects, and this has inspired many other teams to do the same. Some are still seeking funding for their projects, so check out those links in the chat, but we're going to turn it over to them for a little bit of a field report. So the floor is all yours, guys. Take it away.
Thank you so much. I'll get us started. So my name is Anna Gibbons. I'm from North Carolina, and I'm the team leader for Blue 2 Class 31A Pacific Region, and this is our team.
Hi, I'm Kai.
Hi, I'm Jade. Mercedes.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
Now, I just want to share a little bit more about my story and how it fits into the greater story and the journey of Blue 2. I graduated in May from the University of North Carolina, and I wasn't sure what direction to take with my life. I found the NCCC program 2 days before the team leader application deadline. I entered the program with no idea the mental and physical strength it would take to get through the tough days. Thankfully, my team of 9 randomly selected members from ages 18 to 26 cultivated a culture of support and determination. In round 1, we were tasked with planting trees in Petaluma, California, and we became hole digging experts by the end. For round 2, we did free tax prep in Seattle, Washington. Here, we returned over $3 million to low-income families. Almost everyone on our team was really dreading taxes at first, but we took that project and we made the best of it. This is what, my team could make watching paint dry a good time. So it was really our team bond and those weekend hikes that kept us motivated to continue the tough mental work of doing taxes. We were most excited to do our 3rd round project in Idaho, where we were supposed to do environmental work. But on April 15th, I got the dreaded call. NCCC was done, and we needed to return to campus in Sacramento immediately. I was broken. I sat in the bathroom, sobbing, trying to pull myself together, enough to get a coherent sentence out just to tell my team what to pack. I had to look them in the face and tell them that the family we had created was being split apart with no warning. This wasn't supposed to happen for 3 months. We would no longer have family dinner or bonfires in the backyard or trail work in Idaho. It was over. We took the next 2 days to soak up every little moment with each other, to tell stories, and to get a team tattoo. But just like that, I was back at my mom's house in North Carolina with no job, no plans, and no purpose. Not to say that NCCC was my only purpose in life, but to have a job that fulfills your physical, mental, and spiritual needs is not easy to come by. My team was on my mind for 24/7 for the last 8 months of my life, and we no longer existed as that unit of Blue 2. I took 2 days to mourn and began with my couch. Then, on Friday, my team started texting in our group chat. We should reach out to sponsors and go serve anyway, without NCCC. Alani was the initiator of this idea, the grand idea that we could go anyway. Alani was a major inspiration and encouraged me to reach out to project sponsors. She found a way. She found support, so why not us too? At that point, I was committed. The initial organization slated to host us in Idaho was no longer available, so I started emailing other projects, trying to find anything. In Oregon, we found something, a nonprofit that was willing to host us and provide some food. That was all we needed. One yes. I called the team and everyone was ready to go. Just as I was about to set up the go, I was overcome with doubt and worry. What if this doesn't work out? I was apprehensive to ask for money. But it seemed like a disservice not to do something with this time and the story that we were given. This GoFundMe was a tangible way for people to support AmeriCorps work to continuing despite the situation that the agency was in. I set up the GoFundMe and shared the link far and wide, to old friends, families, sponsors, and NCCC alum. The key to making this all happen was alumni. And we started planning that road trip before we even knew if we were going to make our fundraising goal. We just had to believe. But on Tuesday, April 29th, we started the road trip. And on Wednesday night in Champaign, Illinois, we reached our full funding goal of $11,000. Our far-fetched dream was turning into reality. And today, 5 of our 10 members completed our second day back at work in Cottage Grove, Oregon. In 2 weeks, the remaining members of our team are planning to join us, and we are elated to be doing environmental work, such as creating defensible space from wildfires and doing trail work. And most importantly, we're doing it together. So I just want to get the team involved, and I want to ask you guys to share in one sentence what NCCC means to you.
NCCC taught me that helping those in need and the gratitude that they express alongside people who believe in the same goal is one of the most powerful and fulfilling experiences you can have in life.
NCCC to me is where different people from different communities become family with the same goal.
NCCC is a collection of individuals from numerous backgrounds brought together by a mutual passion for helping others, and in the weaving together of those differences, you find your forever family.
NCCC is what life should be all about. Helping others, just other than, and making bonds along the way.
Thank you. All right, we'll hand it over to Blue 8.
Hey everyone. Thank you, Anna. We're Blue 8. I'm Alani. I'm from New Jersey. I'll let the team introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Lucy from Pennsylvania.
I'm Lucas from Illinois.
I'm Nate from Maryland.
I'm Mariah from Missouri.
And we have 3 other team members who aren't with us. So shout out to Harley, Evan, and Elaine if you're on the call. So yeah, I'm Alani. I am an NCCC Corps member alumni from 2020, as well as a recent team leader with NCCC. I went to school at UArts in Philadelphia. My journey, a bit my story, I think Anna really did a great job at capturing the love that you feel in AmeriCorps and the joys, and also that the tearing apart that we all experience. And we don't need to relive that a second time. So, but thank you, Anna, for sharing that. You really captured it. NCCC to me and to us, I believe, is a space and an organization that allows young people to build communities and come together and to find your second families here, where you can live life for 10 months to a year with people who share the same values as you, and get to travel the country and be in the van on the windy roads and go and then do this meaningful work that everyone that you're living with for this year shares the same value and importance to. And that work that we've done, Blue 8 this year alone, we started our year off in the Redwood State and National Parks, where we maintained over 9 miles of trails and the beautiful, tallest trees in the world. And then we headed back up to Sacramento, back where our base is, and we did some beautification projects at the Sierra Service Project, where we built fences and worked in gardens. And we also worked at the Rancho Cordova Food Locker, where we distributed over 57,000 pounds of food. And then we headed back down to San Diego, where we had a tax project as well. And we returned $2.2 million to the community of San Diego in over 2,000 tax returns. And then during that time, we were also doing fire abatement at a ranch in San Diego, where we burned over 10,000 pounds of unwanted brush in the area. And this was so impactful to us. And when we got torn apart, I was speaking with Anna and the team, and Anna helped me draft an email in the dorm room before we all got separated. And the team was talking, and we wanted to still do this amazing work that we were doing. So we got ourselves together. We started reaching out to sponsors, and we pulled it together. And here we are. Our initial sponsor could not host us, but we're planning to come to Alaska. And so we made that happen. We're here in Anchorage, Alaska right now. We're partnering with Habitat for Humanity, building houses, as well as living and working on a campground right in Anchorage, doing some maintenance of the campgrounds. Yeah, this is awesome that we were able to remobilize, but it is just a Band-Aid. This isn't a sustainable way to keep moving forward, doing the fundraising. So we're just so thankful for the overwhelming support from the NCCC community, but we need to take action as a unit, as NCCC alumni. While this was a way for Blue 2 and Blue 8, it's not a sustainable way to continue serving our country. So I want to ask my team as well to briefly say why continuing your service term was important to you.
To me, it was important because I knew that I wasn't done serving with these people, and I knew as soon as I had the opportunity to, when the funding started coming in, I knew that I was going to continue doing it because it was that important to me. These people are important to me, and yeah, I just knew I was going to.
Yeah, I made a 10-month commitment to serving America, and that 10-month commitment was very important to me. And finishing out that service in spite of it being shut down, not only gives me personal fulfillment, but also allows me to finish something I started, which I think is something that's very important.
I've always wanted to help people. Yeah, it's just a thing that I've wanted to do all my life. And doing this program was a great stepping stone to help me start helping people.
I really wanted to come back because I wanted a sense of closure, finishing off a commitment that I'd made. And I felt that doing that would then help me move on with next steps in life.
Pass it back to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Blue 8. Now that Alani and I have had the chance to share our stories, we want to talk to you, everyone in the audience. We all, as people who have had the life-changing opportunity to serve, know how transformative it is and how important it is to carry forward a momentum that makes service possible for future generations. We've heard so many calls tonight to stick together and keep the spirit of service moving forward, but even the obstacles seem insurmountable at times. Tonight, we invite you to do three things. Three things to build community with one another and to keep our movement strong. First, we ask you that you join us on Discourse. The link will be rolling in the chat as we move forward. This is a platform where you can find nearby alums. You can keep in touch with your unit, and most importantly, you can keep the spirit of service alive. It's a place where we can connect with one another, find ways to coordinate regionally and plan collective action for the future. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the link of the live stream.
Next, we're challenging you to talk to 5 friends or people in your life, either people who you've served with in previous classes or current core members that you're with, or just people you've met in communities and friends and family who might be interested in service and the work that we've done, and invite them to also join the discourse. And then finally, we invite you to tell your story and share it with the Service Year Alliance through their story collection tool. You can write letters to a local editor. You can educate your community on how your service impacted communities you served. Your story matters, so get it out there in any way that you can. Keep talking about NCCC. Don't let it die. Keep the spirits up. Keep sharing the amazing work that we did. Yeah.
Finally, we just want to thank you all so much for being here, for recognizing all the hard work and the many generations of AmeriCorps alum. I will see you soon on Discourse, but hopefully soon again in real life as well. Take good care, and we are with you.
Thank you so much for sharing what you and your teams have been up to. We really appreciate it. Such an inspiring thing to see such an example of action and resilience and leadership in a time that has been really, really challenging for a lot of people. We've heard from so many people tonight that really embody what it means to serve with AmeriCorps. And I think some of those central themes are the deep ties, our shared legacy, and the people that are still carrying out that legacy as we speak. Please know that together we are very strong. We can keep growing as leaders. We can continue to strengthen communities. To close us out, I think no better way than to recommit ourselves to those shared values this year and beyond than by reciting the AmeriCorps Pledge. And to lead us in that, I'd like to welcome 2 recent NCCC alumni, Danny, who served in 28A and 29A, and Jocelyn during Summer of Service in 31A. Please lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Jay. Moment. Thank you. For those who may not know, every NCCC graduation ends with the graduating members repeating the AmeriCorps Pledge. All members are sworn in through the pledge, but during graduation, we recommit ourselves to the work of improving lives and strengthening communities. AmeriCorps NCCC, let's see you. I know if you're able, Yes, even if you're on Zoom. I invite you to stand. I'm being a bad influence. I am in my car right now, so I will not be joining you in that. Raise a hand. All alums, family, friends, and guests are welcome as well. The words are in the chat. Please join me and Jocelyn in saying the pledge. I will get things done for America to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier. I will bring Americans together to strengthen our communities.
Faced with apathy, I will take action. Faced with conflict, I will seek common ground. Faced with adversity, I will persevere.
I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond. I am an AmeriCorps member and I will get things done. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're going to continue to hang around for a little bit in the chat for those that want to share resources and celebrate with each other. As a reminder, this event was not hosted, sponsored, or funded by AmeriCorps in any way, and everyone here has acted in their own personal capacity as a member with the Stand with Service community. I welcome you to share resources in the chat and hang out with each other for a couple more moments here, but thank you so much for being here tonight.